Thank you for joining us, everyone. This is inspiring people doing amazing things in life, and we're so fortunate and blessed to have Brian King with us. And I just want to explain a little bit about Brian. He is a master of social work and also a success coach. And he works in the ADD, ADHD, and dyslexia field. And he teaches children and also as well as professionals how to deal with the effects that they have with their disability in a successful, productive way. So I just want to go ahead and introduce him. And Brian, if you would be so great to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're up to in the world.
Well, my pleasure, Tiffany. And again, thanks to both of you for having me on. These conversations are helpful in so many ways, especially to the people that get to listen to them. I'm an adult with ADHD and dyslexia. I have 3 boys that have Asperger's, which is a form of autism, as well as ADHD. And I started off, as a social worker, and it was when my boys began getting diagnosed with these things, and I saw how poorly they were supported by the school system, that I realized that I had to become their foremost advocate. I had to become the expert because everybody else was so uneducated on it. And I became so effective at developing my own strategies and articulating the experiences of myself and my children. Other parents started asking me to help them. So that's when I hung out my own shingle, went into private practice. And a couple years after that, I segued into coaching. And I now work with people throughout the world. So I've been very fortunate in that my own experiences and just basically starting out trying to support my own children has now morphed into a mission of sorts to make sure that all of these kids and professionals who are missed as children and are now struggling as adults can finally get the tools they need to live a life as fully as they can.
Thank you. That's awesome.
That's so amazing to hear, Brian, how you got started there, just helping out, just being an awesome dad to your boys, and then how that transformed into you being able to help so many others. So we are really excited to jump into a couple questions here, Brian, and see what is helping to motivate you along your path and journey. So the very first question we have for you is, what would you say is your perception of happiness?
My perception of happiness is being able to live with all of myself, to be friendly with all of my emotions, the ones that are hard as well as the ones that are happy, and being okay with them. Because when we're raised, we're taught, especially as men, I don't know what you got growing up, Dino, but it's, men don't cry, or, don't show your weakness. You're not supposed to be vulnerable. You're supposed to be the problem solver. You're not allowed to lean on anybody else when you have some challenges. And I learned about, 10, 15 years ago, that in order for my oldest son, who was really struggling at the time, in order for me to be able to meet him where he was at and support him and get him out of that sense of helplessness and overwhelm, I needed to be able to be just as vulnerable as him. We needed to be able to cry together. He needed to be able to express his anger instead of having it shut down as inappropriate. So I had to embrace my own humanity more fully so that I could model for him. I not only show him that I get it, but model for him how to move beyond that and get to a more resourceful place in a healthy way, not through denying very authentic and very honest emotions. And I found that to be very freeing for me as well. It wasn't just a benefit to him. So happiness is being able to live fully within the entirety of your humanity.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, we have not heard a response like that, Brian. What's so cool that we picked up there is how you talked about leading, not just leading by example or telling or simply stating that you understand somebody's perspective, emotions, experience, but that you were showing by leading by example, by really diving into that. And so that is really cool. You don't hear too much of people leading by showing or by doing. So love hearing that. And so, all right, so that first question ties in very closely with our second question here, which would then be, what is your perception of success?
My perception of success is are you able to bring your unique gift to the world in such a way that your ability to complement what's already out there makes the both of you better? You know, I'm a big fan of synergy. And there's this sense that you're either giving or taking, right? In the Western mind. That's a whole bunch of BS. You know, we are complementary. We are changed by our interactions with other people. It's only when we resist receiving that we don't benefit, because we're taught that we're supposed to give, and we can't take back. But if you allow yourself to be a part of the energy of working with somebody else, you both grow, you both benefit. So finding a lot of synergistic relationships. You know, you put two candles together and the flames get bigger. You know, one of my favorite metaphors is 1 + 1 = 11. Because that synergy just makes you both grow and opens you up. So being able to live within synergistic relationships and feeling that your life's gifts are being realized, materialized, you know, that's what success feels like to me.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you decided to do this, because the world needs to know this, and your perspective, your thoughts, just everything that you're doing, I think absolutely needs to be shown, you know, and I really appreciate you and everything that you do. And gosh, Brian, I know that you've been through so much, especially getting over cancer, and you got cancer at age 18, right?
Mm-hmm. About 27 years ago.
Yes. Wow. So our next question is, what's the most profound thing that's happened to you this far in life? I mean, I know you've been through so much, but if you could choose one, what would that be?
The most profound thing, you know, I really trace everything back to the cancer, because when, you know, I lost, it was testicular cancer. So I lost a testicle, which I had to question what I had been taught it was to be a man. And I had to discover for myself what it meant for me, as opposed to trying to make myself fit into that cultural paradigm. When my friends stopped talking to me, I could no longer really define myself according to those relationships. So I had to learn to be comfortable with myself as an individual. So in rebuilding my life beyond that, I had to get my own idea of who am I as a man? Who am I as an individual? Who am I as a human being? And then I was able to make who I was within relationships and so on secondary as opposed to primary. So I was able to get outside of my people-pleasing tendencies, my perfectionism. And that has really helped shape how I do everything now. And that was probably my greatest teacher, was just that opportunity to get outside of my own BS. You know, because everything that I'd thought, all the illusions I'd created were thrown in the trash by that one experience. And I'm able to continually revisit that now, so with so much time passed, with gratitude. Whereas when I was in it, I was terrified. I was furious, cussing my creator, angry at everybody that wouldn't talk to me anymore. So fortunately, time healed, but also my determination to not live the rest of my life feeling bitter about the world and trying to find something better. So those decisions in time were a wonderful combination.
Bitter, not better. I'm so going to use that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
better, not
that's
better.
Powerful. I mean. That's powerful what you just shared with us, Brian. How you took an extremely difficult experience and personal situation and used it as fuel for personal self-growth. And now you have this this ability, this strength, this experience, and these life lessons that you're out there and you're helping and you're sharing, you're giving back to others. Really, really cool. Just incredible what some of the things you've been sharing with us here so far today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing I want to throw in here that I really encourage people to adopt, but there seems to be something hardwired in me. I don't know where it came from, but I've known it since I was a kid, because I grew up, again, with the learning challenges. I was very socially awkward. I was always behind my other classmates in terms of catching on. I was always asking questions 5 minutes after they'd moved on, because it took me a while. And even though I was being bullied, even though I was feeling depressed and left out, there was this nagging voice in the back of my head that said, this is not as good as it gets. It can be better. You know, there are people that will give up. They'll just say, this is my life. It sucks. Life's a bitch and then you die. But there was some part of me that just would not accept that. So whenever I get to a point, whether it was the cancer, whether it was the diagnosis of my kids with autism or whatever, and I felt like giving up, there's always that voice that rushed in and said, wait a second, this is not as good as it gets. Don't resign yourself to this. Find a way to make it better. So what I encourage people to think about is, no matter how bad your suffering is in any situation, remember that it's not as good as it gets. Things can be better, because I'll tell you right now, with however long people have been on this planet, you're not the first. Okay? There are other people that have done this. There are other people that have improved upon it. Find them. Learn the lessons that they have garnered from their own experience. There is no need for you to suffer and be a martyr when there are other people out there with solutions. Get back on the horse as fast as you can, start implementing, and you will find that it can and will become better.
I love your passion, Brian. It's really inspiring to see such a profound thought leader. And you know, it's so true, because look at you now. I mean, you've got an amazing, successful marriage, 3 beautiful children, you know, a successful practicing business. I mean, you're helping tons of people. And just, I really, really admire what you're doing and who you are.
I really appreciate that.
That was some killer advice you gave there, right there at the end there, Brian, where you talked about, we're definitely not the first people here. Anybody who's going through anything, or no matter what it is, good or bad, there's going to be people who have done so before you that you can connect with, network with, and learn from. Because anybody who's done something before you, I mean, you can reach out to them, and you find the right people that they're going to be there to help you out. And like you said, present solutions.
I just had a moment of synergy between the 3 of us. I always tend to get clear about things when I'm talking with other people. But people have asked me, you know, how did I become successful and accomplish so much in spite of all the challenges I had? And it just occurred to me that there are 2 main things that you might consider the secret sauce. You know, and one of those things is that belief that this is not as good as it gets. Okay, that's the first one, because I will not tolerate feeling stuck. I will not tolerate feeling as though I'm underperforming in terms of my potential. The second part of it is, because I've had so many challenges throughout my life, so many people have helped me and continue to help me, that I have a belief that it would be an insult to the universe if I did not pay it forward. So not only do I not settle, but I'm compelled to teach what I've been taught. So I remain a student and a teacher, and I will not resign myself to less than my full potential. So I think those 2 core beliefs and practices, if you exercise those 2, you will not sit still. You won't sit on your laurels. You'll get out there and you will hunt for solutions to improve upon your situation. So one of the reasons I'm able to put out so much content, you know, it isn't because I'm putting myself on top of a mountain and waiting for the sunbeams to enlighten me. It's because I'm reading and I'm listening, and I'm always finding new nuggets and pearls to open another door for me. And then I put it out there so everybody else can benefit too.
It's a great system. You can't turn off inspiration either. I love that.
Yeah. And when you stay hungry, you know, for new solutions, new ways of doing things, of spinning something that you've always done, and you stay hungry for that, you're never bored, first of all. Right. You're not trying to do that marathon binging of Game of Thrones, because you got better things to do, right. You know? And, you know, I don't know what else to say about that, you know, but that's basically, it can be that simple and that powerful.
I agree.
And I like that you said there too, also, that you just said that everybody can be a student as well as a teacher simultaneously. It just depends who you're interacting with. and you're continually growing, and stuff that you have to share, you're giving back. And then in that mode, you're the teacher. Otherwise, you're consuming, you're learning. And all that, as you know, together as a combination, is just pushing you forward, expanding the people that you reach, and your networking. And that makes sense. You see too many people who stop, you can call it growing or learning or self-improving too early on, it seems. And with the internet and all this technology, there's everything that you want to know or learn seems to be everywhere.
No kidding. And there's more being added every day. And I think, Tiffany, when you and I first had a conversation, I think one of the things we talked about is the fact that everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And this is not airy-fairy, earthy, new agey stuff. This is physics. You know, any quantum physicist can tell you everything is energy. So when you put yourself between two people, there's somebody you're learning from and there's somebody you're teaching. You are keeping that flow of energy moving through you, as opposed to cutting your mind off saying, I'm the expert, I know everything. No, that's like putting a dam in the river. You know, the flow is just cut off. But if you keep yourself in the middle like that, you keep yourself energized and you keep yourself open for all of the newness that can come through. And when you are that conduit of energy, imagine what that does not only for your sense of well-being, but it makes you at the forefront. You know, you call it being a thought leader, Tiffany, but the reality is it's keeping yourself open to the flow of information, whereas a lot of people out there have shut their brains off. So we're still thinking instead of just knowing. And that makes a bigger difference in terms of the quality of what you put out there.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, I like the analogy, the metaphor there between energy having to flow through people. And so the same thing with knowledge. It's got to flow in and flow out. Otherwise, it's just not, you're not going to be too whole if you're either just giving it out or just receiving.
Right. You know, and you know the old computer acronym, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, right? So, but when you're bringing in new information all the time, you're replacing old stuff. So it's almost like, you know, your kidneys and your liver filtering out the garbage and getting it out of the way. Because ideas become old in a day or two. You know, when you have a lot of new people thinking and coming up with bigger, better ideas. Mm-hmm. So keeping the flow also prevents you from becoming stagnant because you're holding on to old information that just doesn't serve you anymore.
That's so well put. I love it.
Well, Brian, you have given us a ton of different nuggets. Well, I'm going to call them nuggets now since that's how you've been referring to them today. But you shared with us a ton of different nuggets. You know, we went over your perception of happiness and success and the most profound thing you've experienced in life, and which really I thought was, you drove home with me, which was, the fact that, there's people that have been there before, no matter what you're going through, that have solutions to whatever it is you're trying to figure out and solve. I thought that was an incredible, little nugget there that you shared with everyone. But what we'd love to do at this point, Brian, is we'd love to know, where can people find more about you? How can they connect with you further? Because I'm sure people want to know exactly what you're up to and kind of, want to hear more about what you have to give and what you want to share further.
Thanks, Dino. The best place is my website, which is brianraymondking.com. You can opt into my newsletter list there, as I send little pearls out to my list almost every single day.
Every day. Love them.
Typically in the form of some video with an insight or a strategy that they can use. And if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, you'll be able to participate in those videos live, because I use Facebook Live to do them. And so if you happen to be there when inspiration strikes, you can ask questions and make comments and all that stuff, because I really believe that we're all in this together. And I like to use technologies that allow us to have that experience in the moment. So I love things like Facebook Live and email, where we can have conversations back and forth. So connect through my website and connect with me on social media, and let's get to know each other.
Awesome. So for everybody listening in, you heard where you can connect with Brian. The best place to start off is brianraymondking.com, where you can jump on his newsletter. And then, of course, from there, you'll be able to jump over to his Facebook, and hopefully you'll be lucky enough to catch him when he has that inspirational moment where he does some Facebook Live. And then Tiffany, as we close up here, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't. I just want to say thank you again, Brian. You are a real inspiration, and thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate your time.
And I really appreciate you having me, and that it really means a lot.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Brian, for joining us today, and thank you for everyone else out there listening in to another episode of Inspirational People Doing Amazing Things. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the next episode, and until then, we hope you guys all have an amazing day.
Okay, recording is done. That was awesome, Brian.
Thank you.
When I get the video, what I do is I just upload it straight to YouTube, and then the information that you emailed me and stuff will be included in it, and just a little bit about you. So, and then, this was going to be just a 30-day thing, and we have had, it's been so moving and so touching that, because these are questions about people like getting to know the real person instead of just like a business question. Like, okay, well, what do you do to stay successful in business? Or how do you get clients? Or it's so much deeper. And I myself have learned, I think this is the project that I've pretty much learned the most on thus far. So I'm really grateful to have people be a part of it. And I know Dino and I don't know, Dino, do you feel the same way?
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking about that the other night. It's so interesting, these three questions. I don't even know if we knew how it was going to turn out, which is why it's been so much fun. But because everybody's perception of happiness and success and the most profound thing they've experienced has been radically different. And so it really just kind of shed some light on how different everybody is, what people value. And so the stuff we've learned, there's been certain episodes where people said something and I was just shocked. And, not that anything was right or wrong, because a lot of times it just put a lot into context for me. So it's been cool. It's been a ton of fun. So
can I make a suggestion for you two?
Absolutely, please.
And this may have already occurred to you. Transcribe these interviews and turn it into a book.
That actually hasn't occurred to us. So thank you.
Especially the questions that are being asked, happiness and success, two things that people really, really want. Mm-hmm. And you are interviewing people that have succeeded because of those definitions. And there are many, many different paths that people have taken. The fact that it's so varied increases the likelihood that basically anybody could pick up the book and find the definition that resonates with them.
That's a really good idea.
And everybody who appears in it can help you promote the hell out of it.
That's right.
Okay, so that would really help with sales and getting your names out there for your respective niches as well. And because Amazon has its own publishing platform called CreateSpace. And that's how I published my most recent book that came out, I think, 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And it's user-friendly. You have Amazon's platform, all of their promotional stuff. It's beyond win-win. So I want to encourage you two to do that.
And you said it was Amazon Space, and thank you.
Yeah, CreateSpace.
Oh, CreateSpace.
Mm-hmm. That is a great idea, Brian. We talked about how we need to perhaps put this into a podcast format or extend this to go longer, and but that has not crossed our mind. We know we need to take these videos, distribute them online, and use them for content marketing strategies. But the book thing, we had definitely not talked about that.
There you go.
Incredible. And we have them all we haven't had any of them transcribed, but I know that's really easy to do. Any video formats, there's a couple different services that do that. So it'd almost be hands off.
Oh, yeah. And you can even leave them in the format that they are given to you. You don't have to turn them into some flowery narrative because they're interviews. Leave them as interviews. Then all you need to do is organize them, get a cover design, which probably somebody, either CreateSpace can do it for you through their people, or you can go on Fiverr, find somebody over in the Philippines to do it for you for much more affordable. Put a title on there, upload it all. Amazon puts it together, and you got a book.
Genius.
That's smart. That is really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any new books coming out? Or are you in the making of one or another one? I know you've got a ton.
I've written 6 books so far. And what I really want to do is really get my financial house in order and get that stable and much more automated. And then I'll kick back and kind of think, if there's anything that I haven't said yet that I think needs to go in another book. And I'm sure I'll come up with something.
I'm sure you will too.
How about this, Brian? I have a question for you, a very serious question. How do you manage what looks to be about 5 dogs? I'm looking at all the leashes behind you on the wall right there.
Yeah, good eye, man. You should be a detective.
Because
the 5 dogs because I got a wife and I got 3 boys.
There you go. Okay. All right, so you have help. We have one little puppy over here, and she's a handful.
Well, the answer to any question like that is delegation.
Yeah.
If you have so many things on your plate and you're trying to juggle them all, you'll become burned out before you become successful. Mm-hmm. You've got to learn how to delegate.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm hiring a dog walker tomorrow.
Hey, man, seeing you're stimulating the economy because you got to pay that person.
That's right. Keeping the flow going.
Awesome.
Keeping the flow.
Well, if you want to do this again sometime and talk about some other things, I'm more than game. I love having conversations.
Awesome. Well, we love listening, so thank you.
We definitely would love to have you again, Brian. And we're it sounds like we're planning on extending this and doing some other things. So Tiffany's talked so highly of you, so it's been awesome to sit down and have a chance to chat with you and meet with you today. You are a smart dude. I've picked up a ton from you. In just this, quick 30 minutes or so. So really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dino. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. And it's so nice to see you in person finally.
Yeah, because I see all those wonderful pictures you put up there on Facebook, but it's always nice to get the energy of the person.
Right.
So you kids enjoy your evening.
We will.
And anytime you want to chat, you know where to find me.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, Brian.
My pleasure. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll be in touch. Thanks again, Brian.
Right, take care.